Tourism ministers at WTTC plead with public and private sector to work together. WTTC research shows the impact of COVID-19 on the sector has been 18 times worse than the 2008 financial crash. Ministers agree that close public and private collaboration will be key to the sector reviving the global economy. WTTC President and CEO says the seriousness of the impact of COVID-19 cannot be overestimated. This urgent message from tourism ministers at WTTC came at the Global Leaders Dialogue session at WTTC's annual Global Summit 2021, which is being held in Cancun, Mexico this week, during the event being held right now in Cancun, Mexico. Key ministers and business leaders participated in the event, which enabled those taking part in the forum to discuss how the travel and tourism sector could safely revive international travel and help generate the global economic recovery. Facilitated by prominent U.S. travel journalist Peter Greenberg, the ministers looked back over the last year and shared how devastating the pandemic had been for the sector and how vital it was that action be taken now to arrest the collapse of businesses and the loss of tens of thousands of jobs. However, the ministers attending the event with senior travel and tourism business leaders agreed that the need for close public and private collaboration would be key to the sector reviving the global economy. This was the second major meeting this year between the two sectors, since the private sector was invited to attend an historic meeting of G20 tourism ministers for the first time. Gloria Guevara, WTTC President and CEO, said the seriousness of the impact of COVID-19 cannot be overestimated. WTTC research shows this crisis has been 18 times worse than the 2008 financial crash. But WTTC has worked tirelessly with its members to find solutions to revive the sector and save millions of jobs globally which have been lost and the terrible social impact of their disappearance. The debate today enabled leading ministers to share their thoughts about how the sector can tackle the pressing issues of how to save jobs, save businesses, and save the global economy by safely reviving international travel. It was hugely encouraging to see there was common agreement by all those attending that collaboration and cooperation between the public and private sector would lead the way for revival of international travel. This will be critical to powering the world's recovery, so we are indebted to those ministers who joined us today to be part of this amazing event and help kickstart our global summit and energize the sector to unite and make a difference. Among those participating in WTTC's Global Leaders Dialogue were Harry Theocharis, Minister of Tourism Greece, who championed the public sector's lead to provide a roadmap out of the COVID-19 crisis. Kevin McAleenan, former U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, said it was vital the international community laid down parameters and followed through at the governmental level, advocating a pragmatic risk management approach to resuscitate international travel. Portuguese Secretary of State for Tourism, Rita Marques, said the sector must avoid taking short-term decisions and instead advocated the development of a long-term strategy by government and private companies. Colombian Vice Minister of Tourism, Julian Guerrero Orozco, warned against the prolonged use of passports, which create a danger of first- and second-class travelers and become a real barrier to travel. Also participating were Spanish Secretary of State for Tourism, Fernando Valdez Verelst, Nicole Merder, Minister of Tourism of Honduras, and Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism for Jamaica. Mexico was represented by Carlos Joaquin Gonzalez, Governor of Quintana Roo, and Federal Secretary of Tourism, Miguel Torruco Marques. The private sector was represented by some of the world's top travel and tourism companies, including Andrea Grisdale, Chief Executive Officer and sole founder of Bellagio, and Dan Richards, Chief Executive Officer of Global Rescue. Fawaz Faroukwi, Managing Director of Cruise Saudi, also participated, along with Kike Sirasola, President and founder of Roommate, Luis Felipe de Oliveira, Director General of Airports Council Internationa El Asi, and Manfredi Lefebvre de Video di Bolsorano de Cluniers, Chairman of ABERCROMBIE in Kent. Under the THEME Uniting the World for Recovery, the Global Summit made history by becoming the first global travel and tourism event where leaders gathered in person since the COVID-19 pandemic ravaged the sector and brought most major events around the world to a grinding halt in March 2020. eTurboNews is a media partner for WTTC. More news about WTTC. Number rebuilding travel.